Hi everybody, my name's Ollie, I'm one of the doctors and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now firstly, I do apologise for my somewhat protracted absence here on the channel. Basically, I've been adjusting to new life as a junior doctor, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, has actually been extremely challenging and it's very, very tiring. Everyone told me this would be the case, but basically after a long day, still trying to get to grips with all the systems and clerking patients and getting used to the roles and responsibilities of actually being a doctor, I've essentially found no time to do anything other than eat and sleep so far, and even those things I'm not doing so great with all the time. So rest assured that stuff is going to be coming with more regularity. It's just for the first few weeks of my new job as a Foundation Year 1 doctor, I expect that I'm still going to be getting to grips with how everything works, and there's a lot of cognitive load to deal with, so just bear with me, try not to become frustrated, and more stuff will be coming. But today's video, as the title may suggest to you, is all about results day, because yesterday, I'm filming this video before work. Today actually I head off for work in a couple of hours, but yesterday was A-level results day. And I put a post on my social media accounts about this, but the long and short of it is that for many of you, and a lot of you I know have been in touch because you've made your grades and you've got your offer, for many of you hopefully yesterday results day will have been exactly what you wanted. You will have found out that you've got the grades, you've satisfied your offers, and you're headed to your university of choice, regardless of what it was you applied for. Obviously, most of you I speak to are doing things like medicine, biomedical sciences, and so on, but honestly, for any of you that have applied for any university course and you've made your grades and you've got your university of choice, huge personal congratulations from me. It is an enormous hurdle, not one that I think we celebrate enough, perhaps, or not one that we appreciate the actual real difficulty and how much work it takes for you guys to get your place at university. So huge well done. But the theme of this video is actually more about failure, or perhaps simply not being where we want to be at the right time. And for many people, yesterday will have been awful. You will either not have made the grades that you hoped to make, or you didn't apply perhaps to the right course, or for any number of circumstances things didn't go according to plan. And I know exactly how that feels. I'm very conscious that on my social media channels and on YouTube I tend to talk more about my successes than my failures, because that's what people find interesting and that's what the algorithm likes, and so on and so forth. But 7 years ago, when I got my A-level results, I also did not have the A-levels that I needed. I really wanted to go to medical school, which by and large requires a minimum of 3 A grades. I got 2 A's and a B. I was 1 mark off my 3rd A grade in chemistry, but it didn't work out for me that day. But 7 years later, I find myself now in my dream job, my top possible choice of jobs, with a few awards and a few scientific papers under my belt. So I've actually managed to end up, via a somewhat tortuous and winding route, exactly where I want to be. And I just want to kind of get across before we move on that it's completely normal, even if actually things went well, to feel very lost and to not know what's coming next and to be a bit apprehensive and uncertain and scared of the future, because going to university is a huge change. It's very different to what you'll be used to at school for all sorts of reasons. Rest assured it will probably be better than your secondary school experience in virtually every way. Going to university is amazing and I love it so much that I did it for 7 years, and actually now part of my job is affiliated with Newcastle University once again, so I've actually never really left. But the goal of this video is 2 basic things. One is that, honestly, hand on heart, I do empathise with you. I know how it feels for A-level results day to not go how you were hoping and to not have a clear path ahead of you. That is exactly the situation that I was in 7 years ago. And then the other theme of this video is to try and discuss some ideas or potential thoughts for what you can do next if you're in the situation like I was, where you don't have an offer in place and you don't know what's going to happen, especially if you really wanted to study medicine. The very first thing that I think you should do if you miss the grades, strike while the iron is still hot. And there are a few things we can do here. One is appealing those grades, because the thing is, right, if you're missing the grades, I know a lot of people are worried about their grades coming up or down, but the way I see it, this doesn't really change our management too much, as we would say in the medical field now, because if your grade goes up, perfect, you might stand to receive an offer on appeal. If your grade goes down, you still don't have an offer, so nothing really changes in that regard. So that's one thing I would always, especially if there is any modicum of a chance of success and getting your grade to go up, then I would suggest appealing. However you're going to do that, whether that means an email to the exam board or probably discussing with your teachers in the first instance, really I would recommend doing that. The second thing is ringing the universities that you maybe held an offer at, or if they have courses in clearing, because there are some places for medicine, I believe, they've started to appear in recent years, then definitely get on the phone to them and see what can be done, because you never know, a very, very small number of people actually do get lucky this way. Even if they don't make the grades, they just, all the stars manage to line up just right, and they do manage to get in despite not having the grades. So see what can be done. Again, there may be contextual offers in place if you come from a school in a particular area that has very low throughput to medicine, and situations like that. Some of these elements may work in your favour. So definitely, if you're unsure, ask your teachers, because they're the people that are going to be best to speak to in the first instance. But let's say, in my case, I asked for one of my papers to be remarked, for example my chemistry ones, and they came back exactly the same. So rest assured that for this university cycle, we're not going to medical school. We've got to come up with another plan. The way I see it, there are 3 major routes that we could take from this point forward. Now, the first one of these routes will only apply if you have the grades already to apply for medicine again next year, 2022 cycle, with a reasonable chance of success. That means that you're already now sitting on the grades for medicine, but for whatever reason you don't have an offer this year. What I would urge you to do in that case is simply take a year out and go through the application process again. This is going to mean doing something for a year, and I would encourage you to spend that time really well. You might choose to, I was going to say travel, normally that's what I would say, that's a bit difficult at the moment with the current situation, but it will mean a year out, whether that is working or volunteering or doing something to help boost your application again for the next cycle, and then doing your UKCAT again in the summer, practicing for your interviews again, going through the process again, with the advantage that you already have your grades confirmed. And this is one of the conditions that can actually lead to an unconditional offer for medicine, because you obviously already have the grades. So by the time you get to the interview and your entrance exams and all the rest of it, those are the only modifiable factors that still matter. So if you do well in your entrance exams, do well in your interviews, they may actually be able to make you an unconditional offer for medicine. That's the situation usually in which that happens. Now, the other 2 options apply if you currently do not have the grades for medicine. So your grades came back on results day lower than either you would like or you would need for medical school. They were less than 3 A's, as was the case for me. There are 2 pathways we can take. One is resitting the year, so resitting year 13 and trying to get those 3 A grades that would make you suitable for medicine. It's really important to do a bit of background reading and check whether the medical schools you want to apply to will accept A-level retakes. I don't know how most of them feel about it at the moment. I suspect things will be very much in flux owing to how exams have changed in the last few years. And I know that for many of you, the idea of taking a year out is really hard, and it's not something you want to do. Lots of your peers will be going away to university, and you will have been dead set on going this year too. However, the specific reason that if you want to go to medical school specifically, and this applies to veterinary and dental and law schools as well, the same principles apply, that statistically your odds are simply better if you apply as a school leaver, assuming that you can get the correct grades. Undergraduate medicine courses, that is 5 or 6 year programs that result in a primary medical qualification, are about 8 to 9 applicants per place, give or take, and it does shift every year, but as a ballpark figure, about 9 to 1 is my understanding of the correct number of applicants per place. And that's quite difficult. That means that for every one place at medical school that you apply for, there are 8 other, probably equally qualified people who also want that place. So this option 2 revolves around the idea of resitting year 13 and redoing any exams that you need to do in order to bring your overall grades up, however that's going to be achieved, and try and discuss with your teachers to make sure that that's an option. And the third major pathway, which is the one that I went down, I was absolutely dead set that I was ready to go to university, and a lot of people feel this way. In retrospect, it maybe wasn't the cleverest thing to do at the time, but I knew a lot less about graduate entry medicine than I do now, so I was applying with a much more limited set of information, and I was simply really ready to leave and go to university. I was really sick of school. Not that I went to a bad school, but I just found A-levels very frustrating. So what I elected to do was go and do a similar subject or a life sciences subject with a view to going and studying at medical school afterwards. I was very dimly aware that graduate entry medicine was a thing. So my reasoning was that I would pick a subject that had both strong ties to industry and had really good kind of pharmaceutical or industrial associations, so that I could just go and work in industry if I wanted, if I lost interest in medicine, and one that would allow me to stay in academia if I wanted, if I decided I simply wanted to be a lab scientist, for example, rather than a medic, a clinician, because I was obviously aware that I might be exposed to lots of new things at university and my priorities might change, which they didn't, but I didn't know that at the time. So I went to do that. Now, why do I not recommend that people do this immediately? Well, it comes back to those competition ratios. By the time you're thinking about graduate entry medicine, that is 4-year accelerated medical degrees, your applicants to places ratio is closer to 20-25 to 1, depending on the program. They are much more competitive than undergraduate entry programs, and that is why I strongly recommend, if you can, remain in the school leaver applicant pool immediately post sixth form or college, where you're applying with your A-levels. That is a better pool to be in, simply with regards to your chances of success, than trying to compete in the graduate entry medicine pool. I was very lucky and got in on my first cycle, but it takes most people, I believe, 2 to 3 application cycles to get into graduate entry medicine, and by that point, obviously, you're a graduate. You usually need to be working, holding down a job somewhere, and you're probably building up life responsibilities. You may have property, you may have a family, and so on and so forth. It's much easier to be flexible if you are young. Obviously, you've just got your A-levels and you're not tied down, because it means you can go to medical school virtually anywhere that will accept you, which is usually the best line to take. Now, a lot of people have actually asked me which degrees are suitable for going and studying medicine as a graduate once you've got your degree. The practical thing that a lot of people do is take biomedical sciences, and this is typically where the overspill of people who wanted to go to medical school but didn't get in, they often end up in biomed courses, as these programs often mop up unsuccessful medical applicants because it's their 5th choice on their UKCAT, and universities know that this is a very common pathway to take. So if people are unsuccessful, they will often go, hey, how about you come and do biomed here as well, and give us lots of your lovely tuition fee money. So often they will try and recruit these overspill students into that. But rest assured that someone who does biomedical sciences is at no more advantage in getting into graduate entry medicine than virtually anyone else with a life sciences degree. I did, like I say, cellular and molecular biology, and that was not a problem for any of the medical schools that I could have chosen to apply for. The only thing to be said is that doing a life sciences degree that is something like biomed, biology, human biology, molecular biology, biochemistry, something like that, or even an allied health profession, perhaps nursing or paramedic sciences, something like that. These are the types of courses that will give you maximum choice. However, there are several medical schools in the UK, for example Warwick, Swansea and Nottingham, that will accept people with any undergraduate degree, usually as long as it's a 2-1 standard or higher. That's an overall score in your degree of 60% or higher. So rest assured that if you are dead set on going to study something else, whether that is, I don't know, theology, music, classics, zoology, history, any of these things, and you think that you'd enjoy that degree more and do better and tolerate university better, then by all means go for it. You go in knowing that you'll have fewer choices of medical school for graduate entry programs, but if that's okay with you, then go ahead. University is an amazing chance to explore these other subjects, and I would never tell anybody to go and do biomed if they're going to hate it, whereas if they go and do classics and they might love it, then that's the degree that you need to be doing, especially if you can do that degree at a university that you'd prefer. So that's where I'm going to wrap this video, guys. I hope that has been somewhat helpful, but just rest assured, like hand on heart, you will get there. If ultimately you want to be a doctor, then it's just about grit and hard work. That is the thing that is going to get you there, and that's the thing that's going to get you through med school too. You don't have to have perfect grades, you don't have to be incredibly smart, you just have to be willing to sit down and grind, and as long as you're willing to do that, then one way or another you will get exactly where you want to be. It might take you a bit longer than some people, but that's fine. You'll be a better doctor because of it. And it's never too late either. Whatever age you are, whatever your background is, there will always be a way into medicine. And just like me, it didn't go to plan. I graduated as a doctor 2 years later than I otherwise would have done. I'm now 25, just starting my job as a junior doctor, but I don't regret a single thing about the pathway that I've chosen. And actually the fact that I did my first degree and I got a load of different experiences in journalism and graphic design and video editing and all the rest of it has brought me so much more opportunity now as a medical student and a doctor that I never would have had otherwise, and is actually helping to bring me closer to my specialty of choice. So I don't regret anything. It's been a longer road than some, but I wouldn't change any part of what I'd done. So rest assured, even if A-level results day didn't go the way you wanted, I feel you, I've been there, but keep your head up. You're doing great. Honestly, getting through A-levels is tough enough. Keep your chin up, keep going, and reach out for help. I'm always contactable on social media and through email, and we have a wonderful community of creators on here as well. So please engage. Don't fall out of the system. We can help you. Take care, guys. Thanks.